Lively-ho drinkerinos. Welcome to the Idaho Booze Podcast with me, Steve Kuntz. Today we have Joe Zahaitis on the show. He is, for our friends in the biz, Joe solves money problems. Specifically, how to get money from customers' pockets into yours. He also has some fun stories, and he's an all-around great guy. I'm sure you guys are going to love him. He's from the Midwest. What's not to love? Also, I'll be doing my first ever live-ish version of Craft Beer is Dead, so all you fans on Reddit, sharpen your knives. That's all coming up next on the Idaho Booze Podcast. This show brought to you by Trucks and Auto Auctions in Nampa. Car payments suck. They do. At Trucks and Auto Nampa, we're auctioning off vehicles every other week at prices that you won't believe. Trucks and Auto Nampa gets its inventory from all over the Treasure Valley, including used cop cars, city vehicles, bank repos, and other vehicles that are ready and willing to be your next car, truck, or SUV. Sign up is free and auctions happen every other Thursday at trucksandautonampa.com. Get out of your car payment and into a great ride with Trucks and Auto Nampa today. Welcome back to the show. My name is Steve Kuntz. We are doing a Craft Beer is Dead. I haven't written one in a while, and I thought I would just do one talking into the microphone, and we'll see how it goes. It's probably not going to be as clever. And people probably won't get as mad because it's not written down, but what have you. Craft Beer is Dead because I'm writing a wine book. So the malice afterthought here is that the publisher of my first book, the Idaho Beer Book, which is still available, you can go buy that right now if you like. I saw one at Walgreens. The publisher of the Idaho Beer Book, I called them because some of my beer friends had wanted me to maybe write a revision to it or update it or whatever. And the publisher said no. The publisher was like, nah, craft beer, nah. How about wine? And I said, I don't know anything about wine. And they said, that's all right, you'll learn. So over the last year or so, I've been learning all about wine and writing a wine book and getting to know everybody in the wine industry here in Idaho. And it's been a lot of fun. Really enjoy it a lot. But it is also the reason for the demise of craft beer. Poor craft beer never stood a chance. It wasn't able to even... it didn't even have a last breath, didn't even have last words in this case. So I'm afraid the cause of death is craft beer is dead because I am writing this book about Idaho wine. Now, taking a look at the crime scene investigation, why am I writing a book about Idaho wine and not beer? Well, I'll tell you what, it's because of the lack of news in craft beer, specifically the lack of good news. It has been a mess out there for craft beer, lo these many months. I would say even maybe the last few years, really since the pandemic. And people started drinking NA and hop bubbles and all this other stuff. So listen, I don't have a problem with NA. I don't have a problem with hop water. I don't like hop water. And NA for me has been nice. It's a nice way to kind of have a beer without having a beer. And I get it now. I get the NA thing because there's good ones now. There didn't used to be good ones, but there are now. So I get the NA thing a little bit more than I used to, but still, all we've had in craft beer news lately are closures, takeovers, and layoffs, and those are not fun to write about or talk about or live through. So the publisher of the wine book, who did publish the beer book, basically said, look, we don't like what's going on in craft beer right now. We don't think it's a growth deal as of right now, so we're not going to, try to pump it up with a book. Instead, wine has sort of taken over the zeitgeist as the new exciting thing. Although I would also argue that craft distilling has been really cool too. So I don't know. I guess I probably could have either done a distilling book or a wine book, and there's just more wineries. So, it sounded like more fun at the time, and it still is more fun. It's been a lot of fun writing the book. So the crime scene investigation shows us that craft beer, for all of its positives and all of its wonderful things, and believe me, I was just at a brewery yesterday. I get it. I like craft beer. I am still a craft beer fan. I still think there are lots of good stories to tell. I am not the one who killed craft beer. The closures, the layoffs, the takeovers, the Canadian weed companies, the nonstop bullshit from Budweiser and Coors, Modelo being the new number one beer, despite a lot of the people that drink Modelo not wanting people here that maybe make Modelo. It's all weird. And I don't really understand all of it, but that's what's happening. And I'm looking at the crime scene. I'm thinking to myself, there is a suspect in this case. There's a suspect in this case, and I think that we're going to get to the bottom of it right here on this very podcast. And so we move to the chain of custody. What's happening in craft beer that's exciting right now? Well, locally, I would say that we have a weird situation going on with Woodland Empire. Dave Crick came on the show and talked about it. He said that they're still running Woodland Empire. They got it going down there in the basement, but there's no place to go. Woodland Empire is now a deli, and it's not around. We also have other weird things happening where a lot of the local breweries are just sort of they have their own little spot, and that's kind of all they do. Like, you used to see a lot of people out and about selling beer every day and everything, and now it seems like everybody's kind of got their little spots, and they're just kind of hunkering down and waiting for everything to sort of blow over. I haven't really seen any like super fun events. There's been events like trivia, and there's been bingo, and there's been stuff like that. And, you know, even the Fresh Hop Festival was canceled. I know Loose Screw picked it up, which was great. Awesome for them. Thank you, Mike. But still, what is happening locally in craft beer that's exciting? I've been having a hard time putting together shows that are just local. I've had pretty much everybody on the show already. I'll probably have most of them on again. Why wouldn't I? They're fun to talk to. There's still a couple out there that I haven't had on yet. Beth from Bear Island, haven't had her on. A couple other ones, I'm sure, out there. And the kombucha lady, I don't remember her name. She hasn't been on the show. And the sake guy in Ketchum hasn't been on the show. I don't want to get his name wrong. So, what exactly is going on? And that's what I see when I look at this chain of custody. I'm looking for a suspect in this case. And nationally, I don't see a lot either. Nationally, craft beer is down. The Brewers Association hasn't really done anything exciting. I know that they added some things to, to the big, craft beer festival down there in Colorado. And I know that they're going to have World Beer Cup coming up, I think, this year. So I don't know. I don't really know. I don't know what's happening either. Like, I don't know what beers are emerging. I think what we've seen is hazy IPA and hazy pale ale and stuff like that they've come in pretty hard. They came in strong and hard, and now they're sort of ebbing back. You still see one or two hazies on pretty much everywhere you go. I'm seeing a lot of stouts on right now, which I think is kind of fun. I think it'd be cool to get back to barrel-aged stouts and barrel-aged beers. I think that would be a good way to kind of work things around to something more tasty and more unique that beer could do. But I'm just looking at the chain of custody here, and I'm seeing not a lot of excitement, not a lot of growth, not a lot of opportunity, and basically a lot of these national breweries kowtowing to seltzer companies because they own most of the seltzer companies. Truly's owned by Sam Adams, and White Claw's owned by Coors or Bud or one of them. And so they don't really care if the beer brands suffer because they're making money off the seltzer brands, and seltzer is a lot cheaper to make than beer is. So, when I look at the chain of custody and I'm trying to come up with a sort of suspect in this case, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think it's national beer brands. I think national beer brands, especially craft beer brands like Stone got bought too. And a lot of these guys have gotten bought too. Stone, New Belgium, maybe even Odell, Deschutes. I mean, look at what's Rogue. Rogue closed. That's going to be another whole other cause of death is Rogue closing. So I think craft beer is dead because the national beer brands are not giving us anything to be excited about. And I'm not talking about Budweiser and Coors. I'm talking about national craft beer brands. They are not coming out with new beers. They are not coming out with new packaging. They are not coming out with new things that make me excited for craft beer. They are killing craft beer. In fact, I'm going to call it right now. Craft beer is dead. Not only because I'm writing a book about Idaho wine, but because national craft beer brands aren't doing anything fun or exciting to keep me interested in craft beer. Now, moving on. Was this a justifiable homicide? Well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I do declare that wine is moving forward. People are excited about wine. People my age, in their 40s, are excited. We think it's cool. We like wine. We like wineries. We like sitting in a room that's sort of quiet and fun without dogs and without kids and just enjoying a glass of wine, either by ourselves or with a friend or with a partner. Wine is cool. Why is it cool? Well, that's a great question. I would say growth of the industry to include more people like me that aren't wine people. They are coming up with new flavors and new products and new fun, ways to get wine into our bodies. And I can look no further than locally right here in Boise, Idaho, at my friend Will Wetmore, who has been on the show probably 3 or 4 times. And he is doing things at Veer right now that are super exciting. Go to Veer. Check out the Sun Crusher or Soul Crusher. It's Sun. It's Soul. S-O-L. Soul Crusher. Check it out. It's a champagne wine sort of seltzer hybrid, and it is delicious. It's really good, and the base is wine. It's a wine base. Check out 3100 Cellars and their canned wines. They have canned champagne. So you pop it open and it's champagne. It's not just still wine like a lot of them used to be. It's champagne. And it's really good. 3100 Cellars. Amazing champagne. Just right up the street here in Eagle. Check out what Coiled is doing at their place with their dry Rieslings and their champagnes there too. I think champagne is basically the way to get from craft beer to wine. That's sort of the bridge, right? Because it's bubbly, it's light, it doesn't have a ton of like big tannin flavors or anything like that. So I think that's kind of the way to look at it if you're looking at a wine to beer bridge, especially craft beer. Also, people that work in wine, people that own wineries and people that work in the fields and stuff here in Idaho are awesome. Not to say that the beer people aren't. I love you guys. I love you guys, you beer people. I love you all. But wine people, also cool. It wasn't always the case. We did not always have cool wine people. They were often judgmental. There are still some issues with them getting some money that craft beer doesn't get. I get that with taxes and things like that. But look at it like how I'm looking at it. I've gone and met pretty much every single person from every single winery in the state. And I will tell you right now that wine people are every bit as cool as craft beer people. They are dedicated. They love what they do. They come up with fun and interesting flavors for their wines, even within varietals. They are doing things that really wasn't seen as being able to do 10, 15, 20 years ago because they have a built-in customer base that is, the people around here. So like people that live in Idaho are discovering that there is wine here that's really, really good. And I have to say that Garden City and Chinden is the reason why. We have so many good wineries on Chinden where you can go visit. Also up north in Coeur d'Alene, they have a Rivara tap room or tasting room, whatever, down there. I believe they have Coeur d'Alene Cellars, which is really good. They have a couple other places that are like that where people can go in for a glass of wine and some charcuterie or whatever and have a nice time and enjoy themselves, without having to play trivia or bingo or have dogs run around or kids run around, all the other shit that you get now when you go and visit a brewery, which isn't to say I don't love that. I took my dogs to a brewery just yesterday and it was great. Not so much for everyone else, but it was great for me. So the growth of the wine industry also. So wine industry excitement, news, the growth, the people. I believe that this homicide, I hate to say it, I think it's justifiable. I think that the wine industry is more exciting. There's more going on. There's more fun things happening within wine than in craft beer right now. And it sucks to say that. I really hate saying that, but it's true. Right now, if you just slap the word craft on wine, you'd basically, it's like apples and grapes, I guess. Now, taking a look at the autopsy. Can we turn the tide? Can craft beer regain its foothold? I think it can. Why not? Why couldn't it? Some of these national breweries, though, need to step up and stop getting bought by Canadian weed companies and start making new fun beers for everybody. Now, I think that in craft beer, a lot of the creativity, People think a lot of the creativity starts with the small craft breweries. Not the case. The creativity always starts with the big craft breweries. Those guys came up with hazies. Those guys came up with barrel-aged stouts. Those guys came up with Belgian sours. Those guys came up with IPLs. Those guys came up with a lot of the different things that we love today. Now, the biggest thing going on right now in craft beer is lagers, which is like the oldest way of making beer. So you have to look at that and say, okay, innovation isn't really their thing right now. So what needs to happen? I think we need to start seeing some of these larger national craft beer conglomerates and breweries and whatnots get away from marketing and get more towards making beer. The best case scenario, or the worst case scenario is New Belgium. New Belgium used to be the beacon on the hill. They used to have so many fucking cool beers. They had Transatlantic Creek. They had all those sours. Let's see, La Folie. They were the first ones to come out with an IPL. They were the ones that brought the IPL. I think it was called Shift or something like that. They had a bunch of these beers that they used to make. They when their IPAs first started coming out, they were really good. They brought amber to the masses, with Fat Tire. New Belgium, where are you? Why aren't you making beer anymore? Why does all your beer suck? The Ranger series and the whatever that ghost, or what is it, it's like a fucking skeleton with a spacesuit on. I don't know what that is. I don't get it. I don't like it. I've already done my bum beer thing in another Craft Beer is Dead, which was a really funny one. I encourage everyone to go back on the Substack and look that one up. It's really good. So what are you doing, New Belgium? What's the plan? You didn't have a good succession plan. When what's her name quit, there was no good succession plan because the next lady quit too. Your numbers are in the shitter. You guys can't even generate any excitement in your home state, let alone in states that, in the other 50 states or 49 states that you're in. So what are you doing? What's the answer here? I would love to have someone from New Belgium come on the show and talk to me about what they're doing, what their plan is. And I know we have people from New Belgium here in Boise, and I love them. Jeff, you're the best. I love you, buddy. But you guys got to do something. Show us something. We need leadership right now in craft beer. We need someone to step up and do something cool again. There was a guy, where was I? There was a Transatlantic Creek bottle. I think it was an empty bottle. And this guy was like, oh yeah, I remember that was a good one. And it was just some random guy. And I was like, yeah, that was a really, really good beer. And I told him the story when I bought the keg. We did a New Belgium night at Edge, and I got Creek specifically for me. I wanted it. And I think that night at that party that we had, I probably had 2 or 3. And then the next day I got to the brewery, and there was 1 glass left, and I drank it, and it was amazing. It's a great beer. It's an amazing beer. And New Belgium doesn't do anything like that anymore. Stone, where are you? Delicious IPA is 8 years old. Where's something new? Show us something new. Show us something fun. Get in on this Pilsner racket. Freem is doing a hell of a job making Pilsners and light lagers and stuff like that. Who else? Who's our friends down in Colorado that we love so much? Those guys. They're doing an amazing job. It's one of those things that's happening right now. It's just like this lull, and not only in sales and all that other boring garbage, but creativity. Creativity is just out the window. It's shit right now. It really is. When was the last time you saw something at the store and you were like, wow, that sounds cool? I constantly look at beer, and I'm like, I've had it. Skeleton in a spacesuit. Blah, 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 blah. Prost. Those are our friends in Colorado. Sorry, Greg. I love you guys. Love your beers. But again, Prost. They're making fantastic beers that are all 1,000 million years old. Everybody's been making a Pilsner since the 200s. We need some growth in the craft beer sector in creativity, and it needs to come from the top. It always does. So you guys up on top, if by any chance you accidentally hit play on the show, please know that we need something. Craft beer needs something. Otherwise, I'm afraid that craft beer is dead. Coming up, I'm going to have Joe Zahaitis on. He's going to talk all about getting money out of customers' wallets and putting it into your own if you're an owner or an operator of a brewery, winery, distillery, restaurant, zoo, grocery store, what have you. He has some great ideas for that. He's a pro, and he has a lot of fun stories, and he's a great guy, and he is coming up next. The show brought to you by Boise Beer Buddies. Cost of pints got you down? Be a buddy and join Idaho's premier club for saving big at the bar. You'll get discounts at just about every brewery in the state, plus a lot of your favorite craft beer bars, wineries, and specialty shops that sell your favorite brands. Use my promo code BOOZEPOD and get 2-for-1 cards when you visit BoiseBeerBuddies.com and sign up for your buddy card. Be a buddy and save with Boise Beer Buddies and my promo code BOOZEPOD at BoiseBeerBuddies.com. Welcome back to the Idaho Booze Podcast. I'm Steve Kuntz here with Joe Zahaitis. Joe, how's it going today?
Awesome. How are you, sir? Thank you for having me on the show.
You are a bidness man. You're the president of a company. You do payment processing. You do a lot of like vendor management. You do stuff like that. So why in the world are we having you on this show today to talk about booze? Well, I think we're going to talk about the business side of booze because as the listeners to the show know, every so often I like to get into the weeds of the bidness side because that's what I did when I worked in the beer business. I wasn't a brewer. These arms don't carry bags of grain. This back can't handle it. This face was made for clients. This gets out there and gets shit done. So we are going to talk about getting shit done on the payment side and on the vendor management side of things. Joe, tell us all about yourself. Give us a 5-minute just brief about you and what you do and your whole outlook on what's going on in the world today.
I do not want 5 minutes of me, but I'll give you a little bit. So I've been in the payments world for about 32 years. Credit card payment processing. Got started in the petroleum industry a million years ago. Prior to that, I was a banker, a certified instrument rated pilot as well, a gamer by hobby. If you want to talk about games, we can talk about gaming as well. Obviously a drinker to a certain extent, bourbons for the most part, and whiskeys. But I've been in business. I've built sales teams. I've run sales teams. I've run account management teams for some of the largest payment providers out there. I used to always tell my friends when I was working for a couple of companies, do you watch the Super Bowl? Yes. Do you see the ads on the Super Bowl? Yes. Those are my clients because I ran a team that had some of the largest clients in the country as a part of our portfolio. So I've been doing this for a while. It's not my first rodeo. I love doing it. I love being here. Thank you for having me on the show. And if there's anything bits of information and or wisdom I can give to your audience, I certainly look forward to providing it.
So yeah, a big part of our audience is actually, and what I've heard anyway, anecdotally, I haven't done the research on this yet, but what breweries do is they just put this thing on in the brewery back where the guys are working, and they just let this thing run. So every so often, I like to get into the weeds about the beer business and the wine business, and to a certain extent the booze business, though it doesn't really apply as much as you might think. The booze business, pretty stable. Beer and winemaking, though, kind of having a rough patch right now. A lot of breweries going out of business. We just had another couple go out this last week. We've had a few go out here in the Treasure Valley, and we've seen a lot of bad business happening on the beer front. The first thing I'd like to talk about is how prices are at like an insane level right now. I know this has to do with other factors and stuff like that. Beers are over $7. Wine glasses at wineries are $15 a glass. Where does this money go as far as, is this an inflation thing? Is this a cost of goods thing? What do you think is causing such rapid rise in costs?
Well, I can tell you, looking at it from the payment guy perspective, I love when people say that it's the nature of the credit card industry that's driving the prices up. Not really. As a percentage of the total sale, it's not a huge piece of it. It is a piece of it. And I tell all my clients, you don't get it for free, just like you don't get a loan for free. You got to pay something for it. So it's a matter of what you pay and the value you're getting out of it. From a liquor, bourbon, whiskey drinker perspective, what I've seen, and I've done the whiskey trail a number of times in, around the area, and, I've never run a brewery or anything like that. But in terms of running businesses, I think the nature of what's driving costs up and what's driving the cost of the product up is everyone is trying to do more with less and squeeze more money out of it. And I think you kind of alluded to some of the bad practices that are taking place even in your own world. I've seen it certainly because I represent the payment side of a lot of my clients, so I get to see it from an outside perspective. A lot of what a lot of the client business is doing in life in an effort to try and drive more revenue is driving it to the point of self-service. And from a consumer perspective, it's what I love about my Amex card. I'll be the first one to say it. You call Amex, credit card guy, obviously I have to talk about this. You call Amex on first contact with that individual, 9 times out of 10, they can solve your problem. And you go away as a happy client. If they're calling into a daisy chain, if they're calling into an off-country, off-site kind of as customer service, if they can't get a hold of a person, if all you have is, those are the natures, in my mind, of what's driving business to have a challenge. And to your point, the price is driving up. I can't specifically speak to breweries, but I've seen and been to a number of breweries, and I don't see where the nature of how they're brewing it could have a cost increase. So I might take my question to be, is it the products that they're buying? Are we having an issue with some of the hops and some of the other grains that are out there? Or is that being driven up? Is it the quality? Hey, I'll pay for quality. So if I'm going to get a quality product and I know that, and I think we're going to get into talk about this from a sales perspective, pitching your value prop, that's a huge piece. Maybe a $7 pint is worth it because of the nature of what you're getting. I can tell you, I got some bourbons here that are pretty damn good.
It's true. In the spirits world, yeah, I mean, I've paid 30, 60, $100 a shot, right? Like for certain things.
Pappy is not worth it. I've had Pappy. Straight up not worth it. Sorry. I'll be the first one to say it. I'll yell at me, not paying for Pappy again. Not happening.
You know what? I have never once paid for a shot of Pappy. It's usually something they bring out and they want to share. The people that have it like to share it. I'm more like stuff from across the pond, like some Scotch whiskeys and stuff like that.
Bushmills.
That get up, yeah, Bushmills.
Hibiki 12 year, $60, that kind of stuff.
Hibiki's really nice. I have some of that downstairs. But when we look at beer and wine, these are sort of like everyday beverages. These aren't as celebratory as getting a shot of, Booker's or Pappy or whatever it is. This is like something like you get off of work, you go to the brew pub, you have a pint of beer, maybe you have some wings, and you typically would be able to get out of there for under $20. Now it's like $35. So it just seems like maybe there's a hang up here, because then you hear about how hop contractors and hop producers are down too, and grain producers are down. Like everybody's down, but the prices continue to go up. So I don't know how we have this pricing model right now that doesn't make sense for the consumer, it doesn't make sense for the operator, and it doesn't make sense for the manufacturer. So how do we is there any roadmap to get back to where these things all are aligned again, or are we just kind of screwed?
And I don't know how much you've talked about this on your show before, but I'm going to bring up a slightly different topic. If you look at the nature of the purchase model that's out there and the consumer base, oddly enough, it had more to do with payments than it had to do with, your podcast, but it happens to dovetail perfectly. I was reading about the nature of some of the younger generations and their movement away from wine, spirits, beer in general, and just not purchasing it. And that the wine in the Napa Valley is looking at this huge overage. I just read an article the other day about how most of Jim Beam stopped production because they're sitting on such a load of production already that they're not going to be.
It's not just that; it's also the tariffs. That they don't want to pay the tariffs,
and that could be a part of it. I mean, I'm not the guy to talk to about the nature of tariffs in that sense. But from a tariffs perspective, if we're producing it here in the States and we're distributing it here in the States, that shouldn't be an issue, to your point, in terms of what you're trying to bring up. The cost per unit should still be pretty consistent. If you're trying to sell it to Canada, where they took it off the shelves, I get it. There is an issue there in terms of the tariff element. I just look at it from the perspective of, and this is where I'm confused as well, and we can talk about this. If you've got a decreased purchase market, people buying less, but you have a required revenue stream as an operator, as a business, I need to make $100 a month. People are buying half as much. Okay, now I'm only getting $50 a month. The only way for me to make that up is to maybe start charging more for the product to get back to the $100 a month. So to your point, I think it would be my belief. I saw this in the petroleum industry a billion years ago. You would have the major oil brands buy up what are called jobbers around the country and then push their product through it. Amoco, Shell, Texaco, Diamond Shamrock. And then they would take the non-performing locations that weren't meeting up to Diamond Shamrock standards and they would spin them off. Well, the store didn't close. It got picked up by a local guy who then would go to the pad and rack to buy gas. It's all about the same price. And oddly enough, he's making money now. You have to look at what the market will bear and what is appropriate, not just what you want to charge.
Yeah. So that's interesting. That's an interesting point, because what you're talking about is, so there would be like an Arco station, which we don't have in Idaho. There'd be like a Chevron station. Okay. Everybody loves Chevron. So you go to the Chevron station, Chevron would see some raising costs or whatever, and it's maybe it's an underperforming Chevron. Then Chevron would spin that off and it would become whatever. And then they would go and start buying fuel at lower prices, like less quality fuel. So I think that's what we see with Maverick, right? Like Maverick has everyone says Maverick has the less quality gas. Don't kill me on that one. That's just something I heard from people in the auto industry.
If you look at the nature,
maybe that could happen in the beer business and the wine business too, right?
It could, but it can't. And let's use that as an analogy. Okay, if you're Arco, Maverick, and you go into the pad and rack, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to use a tech here. We're going to bring it back to beer in a second, I promise. You're buying the same gas everybody else is buying. So to say the quality is less, it is a fungible product that is, everybody gets the same product. So it's really the distribution of how you do it. Do your tanks have water in them? I mean, are your filtration systems working well? I mean, that's where the quality of the product comes up. Now, to tie that back into what we're talking about here, I'm not suggesting you're going to buy beer off of the market. You're producing it yourself. But in that context, the beer you're producing, if it's of a higher quality, it might demand a slightly higher price, but there's a limit to that function. You can't take gasoline, unless it's aviation fuel kind of stuff. You can't take gasoline and say, you know what, I want $8 a gallon for this. Yeah, you can when you're on the lake in Havasu because you're a captive market. But the reality of it is, from a market perspective, there is a limit to how much you can charge for the gas, and everybody plays with that on a regular basis. Same thing I would think in the beer, spirits, wine. There's only X amount you can charge unless you have what would be classed as, perceived as, Lexus, Audi, Mercedes, a premium type product brand where you feel and the consumer's willing to pay a higher price as long as they're getting a perceived value out of it.
Yeah, or maybe it's a situation like you're talking about with the fuel companies where, what is it called? Pad and rack? Is that what you're called?
The pad is the pad. It's like a huge pad of those huge white tanks.
Yeah.
You just send a tanker truck there to pick up gas. You buy it. You got to pay cash for it because no one trusts anyone. And then you go and you fill up your tanks on the ground. It's the same. Whether it's going to Amoco has their own pad. You can buy Amoco gas if you want. You can buy Shell gas if you want. But at the end of the day, it's the same gas. I mean.
So with a higher quality product like the craft breweries are making, maybe they need to focus more on finding other markets instead of trying to make up that $50 at their pub. Like, so maybe instead of selling everything out of the pub, they need to go and find markets that are elsewhere that are cost efficient and that are actually buying beer. Like you said, younger people now aren't buying beer or wine here in America, but that isn't necessarily true maybe in Brazil or maybe somewhere else where they have more people and maybe less breweries. So maybe that could be an option, how they could make their money back instead of gouging us when we go to the pub.
You could even do it, it would be my belief, you could even do it in a Chicago marketplace because we have a distribution facility. Obviously, this becomes a part of interstate trade in terms of who can distribute, like alcohol products or not. But in Illinois, we have a chain called Binny's, and I'm not giving them a promotion. I'm not a paid promotion on this. It's just I shop at Binny's occasionally. Binny's is where you buy your alcohol. Well, Binny's has this huge spread of obscure beers that you can buy, both to try them or if people particularly like them. And in the nature of your local brewery there, those would be relationships, distribution markets where you could look. And if you have a product that is unique, not horribly unique, I saw a great Instagram about IPAs and the fact that they're kind of jamming everything into a flavor. Now, hey, let's put peanut butter in there. It'll be great.
There was one I saw that's made with bear shit today.
There you go. Well, that would be a beer that I would want to drink. My point is that if you've got a unique product that has kind of a play to it, one of the ones, and I'll bring it up. I'll go down my beer path for a second. Mm-hmm. So a buddy and I are in a local hamburger joint, which has since closed, and I feel bad because they had amazing hamburgers. We're sitting at the bar. And we're having a drink, and he says, you have to try this beer. I'm not a beer drinker, and he knows that. I'll drink Guinness. I like it. Chocolate milk. So he says, no, you got to try this. Okay. Don't ask. Just pour it in a glass. Try it. Got it. I tried. Cool. Good stuff. It's a good stout. Dragon's milk. So I'm drinking this Dragon's Milk beer, which I'll have to admit, I actually kind of liked.
Yeah,
and as I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, if we put vanilla ice cream in this, this could be an adult root beer float. So we told the bartender, do you have ice cream here? And she's like, yeah, we do. I said, could you go get us 2 beer pint glasses with ice cream in it? She goes, fine. I said, then we put it in. They actually put it on the menu because of us. It was the best adult root beer float you've ever had. My point is, other market segments, other ways of skinning this cat. Look at something. You look at mixologists. They take stuff like green chartreuse and or Malort and or Jaeger, and you start just messing with it. You start coming up with different avenues on which you could sell this product set. Still selling alcohol, totally get it, but with it kind of a slightly different spill. This Dragon's Milk adult, dude, I've got a 4-pack of it just for root beer floats. It's awesome.
I used to do them when I was at Epic and at Edge. Both the breweries that I've worked at, we did those with our big stouts, and they are delicious. Oh, and I'll tell you right now, the reason why you like that Dragon's Milk so much is because it is aged in bourbon barrels. So
is it really?
A nice little bourbon flavor. Oh yeah.
Well, it's the back bite that it had.
10%.
When you drank it, it's got that back bite kick to it. Oh, that I like.
Oh yeah. No, I've been drinking Dragon's Milk for a while. I'm with you on that one. And that root beer float that's an awesome idea, and that's something I think that our friends in the beer and wine industry can take to heart. Like, you need to find other ways to market your product that aren't just sit at the bar and drink a pint, right? So they need to maybe seek out other markets. They need to seek out other ways of selling it and other avenues of getting it into people's mouths.
It's a start. Don't think of it as a gateway drug, because I actually saw the exact same thing, oddly enough, on Instagram recently. I've not tried it yet, where someone took vanilla ice cream and a red wine, a good, solid, strong type of a Bordeaux red wine, because now you get that same kind of a, sweet and salty punch with it with the red wine. I've not tried that one yet.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
one.
I don't know if I'd like that myself. I'm like, chocolate maybe, but I don't know about ice cream. My point, though, is now you get someone who at least try the wine, and now they're like, you know what? That Dragon's Milk stuff, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
And now you have a new consumer.
I guess that's like mimosas with cheap champagne, right? Like, that's a great way to get rid of cheap champagne is with mimosas.
My girlfriend has one whenever we go out.
Yeah, they're great.
She will order it at the bar. It's called a no moso. And the bartender will ask all the time, what is a no moso? Pour me a glass of champagne. Thank you. It's a no moso. It's a mimosa without orange juice. Yeah. I also saw a great one online where they took and they swirled the orange juice in the mixer glass, threw the whole mixer glass out, poured the champagne in the glass. There you go. Done.
That's a good one too. Yeah, those are nice. I do prefer no mimosas to mimosas. That is
she loves them.
Is true. So do we think there's any sort of so right now in beer and wine, the pricing model is pretty much the same. It's like cost of goods times whatever. And then you have to basically in the booze business, you have to do this 3-tiered model, which is totally un-American, totally played out. But you have to sell your beer or your wine to a distributor. Then the distributor handles all the business with the retailers. And so basically what you do is you kick up a 30% markup to the distributor. Then the distributor marks that again they're supposed to do within 30. I think they're going higher than 30 these days, but 30 was the round number that everybody used for a long time. So do you think there's another pricing model or any way that breweries or wineries can maybe circumvent the distributor model in this day and age of being able to do whatever you want as long as you're a giant corporation? Do you think there's anything?
I will start with a disclaimer. I am neither an accountant, a tax attorney, nor a distribution lawyer to know if any of this is legit or not. So we'll start out with that disclaimer. This is just my opinion.
I love that disclaimer.
Yeah, exactly. Girlfriend and I went to Napa, wherein we visited a number of wineries in Napa.
Napa, Idaho, or Napa Valley?
Yeah, Napa, Idaho. That was where we were. Right, Napa, Idaho.
You should come to Napa, Idaho.
Okay, I'm down.
Come visit us.
We went to a number of great wineries, and then we obviously bought a bunch of bottles. So now we ship them back, which was all fine and good, and we didn't even think twice about it. And while I was out there, yes, I got sucked into an allocation that I was on for a couple of years, which was all good. Again, we talk about the perceived value of the product set that I was getting. I'm not even telling you how much I paid on an annual basis for the 2 cases of wine I would get on an annual basis, but it was a state bottle.
Just put it in the chat.
What's that?
Just put it in the chat.
Yeah, no. There you go. It was a lot. It was more than I should have paid. But at the end of the day, my point is that I was able to send this alcohol across state lines without a challenge. And I don't know what the ruling was beyond that in terms of how much I bought or what I did or whatever to be able to do that without having to pass through all of these other gates that you've talked about. But I live in Illinois, and I know that because that was the next discussion I had with the winery that I did the allocation with, I did not have to have the wine shipped to a distributor, Binny's, something like that, where then I, in fact, picked it up from them and then had to pay the juice, or someone had to pay the juice in the middle. It was shipped directly to my house. Now, I had to sign for it because obviously they don't want, sub 21-year-old taking possession of this, which was all fine and good. Plus, you don't want the wine freezing. But the nature of that allocation worked with a direct-to-consumer model. That was my camera restarting, by the way, because we're more than 30 minutes. So in a direct consumer model, you'd have to check on how that works. But I can tell you from a winery perspective, that's a play that they did because obviously I was in, and then we taught every winery we went to wanted us to get on an allocation. There was only one I bet on. But at the end of the day, it seemed like as a direct to consumer model, that was a way around some of that having to pay the guys in the middle, lowering the cost. But typically you're buying a higher value product to start with. Maybe the brewery doesn't have to take quite a hit because you're not selling to a distributor and can get a fair market for it without it being inflated and do a direct distribution. Now, I also heard a friend of mine who is a beer drinker who gets odd beers, a bottle each on a monthly basis on like a sample model, wink, wink. Yeah, but he's getting basically a case of beer every couple of months, but he's just getting one bottle of each.
Yeah.
Maybe that could work. I don't know. That's
so that we have some state laws. We have some of our friends in Meridian and in Eastern Oregon that don't like drinking, and so they apply their laws. They apply their strict religious laws to all the rest of us. So we have to deal with that here in the state of Idaho still, which is insane, but we do. So we can't. The direct-to-consumer one would be a great lifesaver for a lot of small businesses, especially wineries. And I think wineries can actually ship, but breweries I don't think are allowed to.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I think there's a discrepancy there. So, I mean, that's for the people over at IBU. Yeah, right. Yeah, I think he's one of the ones that probably instituted the law.
I'm saying in general, somewhere someone got to the Congress to say, wine's okay, beer's not good. Whoa, hold on a second.
It's a fight that's currently happening. So we'll move on from that. I want to talk about sort of what you do payment processing. That's kind of your day job and what you do. Just really quickly, we have a lot of the same ones around here. It's like Toast and Square, kind of the normal ones. How did these ones become so popular? And what are there other systems out there that maybe would offer, would be better for some of the smaller businesses around here?
How many days have you got available?
Go ahead. I think
you're playing into what I do for a living. Obviously, I could talk about this forever. Here will be the short course version of it, and I don't care who I piss off because this is what I do in the industry. Toast is not a model I would go to from a restaurant, brewery, or otherwise, because in the Toast model, which they've done a great job of doing what they've done, you have to go to Toast and they give you for free a software package that handles inventory and all sorts of stuff. And then you have to use them for all your merchant processing. You can't use anyone else. And now they control the pricing up, down, and sideways. And we've already seen 3 or 4 recent price increases on Toast, even though you got the software for free. A buddy of mine owns a Mexican restaurant over here, so I go over and talk to him about it. It is, if there was something that a retail restaurant, I'm squawking restaurant, not brewery, but it would be the same thing for a brew pub. It is the single regret that every merchant restaurant that I've talked to has a year and a half, 2 years in, because they lose the ability to have any other functional pieces outside of what Toast is afford as allowing. Not even contractually, it's just really difficult to do. Now you have to have a second device and all this other stuff. So if there was something that they would do, and I tell it to every one of my clients, pick a solution that gives you options. When we go in as a merchant provider, my first comment to the client is, what do you want to use? Well, I want to use Picket, Aloha, Radiant, whatever. Great. Because they have multiple connectivities into the back end. You can use me, you can use someone else, you can use whatever, you can use a different bank. It's fine. You as the merchant, have options. We're going to go to Toast. Why? Because they're giving it to me for free. Okay. Because the guy said it's really good. He's going to help me with the integration. Fine. Now you get there and you're not happy where you're at. That's the first one. Second, Square. Okay. Jack Dorsey had a really, really, really good idea. It's called, here would be my comment on Square. And I've given people guidance on this advice. Do you stand in a farmer's market, craft market, and sell 4 items a week, a month, And that's what you want for your credit card processing. Use Square.
Yeah.
The costs are fixed. It's a known quantity. You know what you're paying. It's way the hell higher than anyone else would pay. But on a per unit volume, based on how much volume you're doing, you don't care. You don't have a monthly fee. You don't have this. You don't have that. If you miss the craft fair next week, it's not going to cost you another month's worth of, gosh, I've got this account open. But there's a break-even point in a Square environment where I'm doing enough volume. Most brew pubs would be there day one.
Yeah.
Where I'm doing enough volume to warrant I need to be with a partner. And then now we're going to get into my next point on this on the payment side, a partner that gets me value, lower price, because now Square becomes too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And they hold your money, and they hold it for 30 days. And now they're going to want reserve pools. And there's all sorts of things that Square puts in because it is really built for that craft person. That person doesn't care, doesn't have enough volume that's going to hurt Square. You start driving some volume through Square, they start standing up and going, it's not that they're uncomfortable from a risk perspective. Their model isn't built for it. They have no reporting. And it's just not for someone who's truly in business. One more that you didn't mention, I'll bring Stripe. Oh, Stripe. Mm-mm, don't. And here's why. Stripe equals Square online, in my mind. They're good. They work. You look at the guys who sell, what's the other one? Spotify. No, not Spotify.
Not Spotify.
Spotify's the radio.
Yeah.
Online Shopify.
Oh, Shopify.
You look at the guys who sell Shopify, dude, they're good. They know their stuff. They know they good sales team. I will give them that. They anticipate every single objection that the person would have. They have a great play into why, and then they get you hooked into Shopify as an online type of a model. And again, a lot of your clientele is not going to be a Shopify client, but now you get hooked into Shopify. I don't want to say you're screwed, but kind of like this Toast model we talked about. Now you're kind of locked in. Yeah. But I want to go somewhere else. Yeah, but you got Shopify. That's your shopping cart, and you've got all your SKUs there.
It's true.
And you're going to have to start all over again.
Yeah, it is true. Like once you get all the, especially when you do all the legwork to get everything in there, then you don't, the prospect of going somewhere else is not.
Can I export it? Fun. Sure, you can export it. Try.
Yeah.
Doesn't work that well.
No, it doesn't. So that's good advice for people that are like, so, and once you get into like Toast or Stripe or one of those ones, it's not like super easy to get out, but you can get out, right? Like it's not like
Toast would be the harder one to get out because typically you put your inventory in there. Square's easy enough to say, look, I've got Square as a backup. I'm just going to start using a different provider and the volume is going to go down and it's not going to be on Square. It's not going to be on Stripe. The thing, and now I'm going to get to my final punchline to hold this whole thing. And it's what I promote in the context of what I do for a living. Most businesses today derive 95 to 6% of their revenue from a card-based type transaction, whether it's online, face-to-face, digital, debit, pick your model. Don't care. Most of it now, I've got places here that are going totally digital. They don't even take cash anymore. It's technically illegal. You have to accept U.S. currency. So, but I've got most of the clients in life, most of the businesses in life take a digital form of payments, a credit card, some type of card, as a payment model. And yet most businesses spend less time thinking about their payment provider than they do about their toilet paper provider from their services perspective. I think, and I've told every one of my clients, your selection of your payment provider should go through the same rigor that you put your doctor, your lawyer, your accountant, and anyone else that is going to keep you alive. Because when you look at the nature of payment providing, it's just the lowest cost. Is it? And are you getting it? Because you don't know, and you're not. And if you don't trust your partner, who's giving you 90+% of your rev stream flows through this player, and you're giving it no credence and thought in terms of who you're picking, next 20-year-old that walks in off the street, I can save you 20%. And then you go with them, you get what you pay for.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. And also so that's an awesome point. And that's something I think that people should listen to. I mean, I totally agree with that as well. I remember for a company I worked with just recently, we switched our POS system. And I mean, I don't think anybody did I think they did look at it like the toilet paper or like something else.
It's a lower cost. Go with it.
Yeah, we switched to it and there was a total nightmare. Everything was a nightmare for like 2 months. Like it was literally, we were all hands on deck every single day trying to fix trying to make this work because we had a 2-year deal with them or whatever it was. So yeah, totally. Like if you're out there and you've just started out or you're about to start out, or you've been in business for a couple of years, take a second look at your payment structure, because those things, I mean, yeah, it's nice that they give you the handhelds and they give you the iPads and everything else, but that's really not that much money compared to what they could be taking on the back end, right?
The minute someone says it costs nothing or it's free, run.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a free lunch. That's a great point.
By the way, any of your listener base, I am open to talk to anybody. I have no challenge with this at all. I'm sure Steve will get you. It'll be part of this podcast in terms of how you get a hold of me. I'm always open to talk to anybody about anything. My job is in a consulting practice to help people with this, not to sell you payment processing. So at the end of the day, your job is just do what you got to do.
All of Joe's information will be in the show notes.
Nice.
You can get him at Zahaitis.com. It's a very nice website.
Thank you.
It's I think
work in progress.
It's
forever.
Yeah, that's right. Work in progress. Well, aren't we all, Joe? Aren't we all just a work in progress? So the other thing that I kind of wanted to get to as far as like what you do and your kind of business aspects, and we'll get to some of your other fun stuff. I want to talk about bourbon as well and all that kind of fun stuff, is vendor management. So how do you think, I look at the vendor deal for breweries and wineries in 2 different ways. One obviously is the distributor that you have. That's going to be your chief like vendor. They're selling all your stuff. But then also on the other side, you have grain and hop producers and grape growers and, barrel, so I don't know, wherever you get barrels from, Coopers, I guess they're called. So what are some like key components to vendor management that people maybe don't know about, or people that should be aware of when they're because these deals you make with vendors last for years and years and years. Some of them are indefinite. So how do you kind of wade into those waters, and how do you kind of deal with that stuff?
When I was a middle manager many years ago, I say that because I'm old now. In the context of being a middle manager, one of my jobs was to manage. We had a terminology for it, and it's just something I've used, and you guys can use it if you want. What is an upstream vendor and what is a downstream vendor? An upstream vendor for us, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, those were upstream vendors. They were providing services to us that we then further distributed. So I was responsible for managing our upstream vendors. I was responsible for the Visa relationship, for our acquiring bank relationship. They were providing services to us that we provided to clients. Then we had downstream vendors, Verifone, Ingenico, Hypercom, all of the terminal vendors. Remember, going back 1 million years ago where I sold terminals in life.
Yeah, those the guys that made those things that like you swiped, guys?
We used to call them Zip Zap or Knuckle Busters.
Yeah,
and then you would ship out this tiny little plate that would have the last 4 digits of the merchant's mid on it that they would have to screw into that thing so that when they, you can't even take an impression of a card anymore. There are no embossed letters on card.
I was going to say none of my cards have embossed letters.
None of that. That's all gone away. So back on topic. So the downstream vendors were all of our, those providers, paper providers, those that provided boxes and or whatever, that's downstream. And the reason I bring that up is that then has a focus. Your upstream vendors, I don't say they're managed differently, but it's a different type of relationship. Both of them, in my mind, are relationships. And I'm always brought back to same middle manager position. I was negotiating a contract for a new acquiring provider that we were going to use. Pretty good sized bank based out of Omaha. You might know them, but we'll just say out of Omaha. Wink, wink. Mm-hmm. First National Bank of Omaha. And the guy who was in charge, their senior vice president, and me, then I was middle manager. We sat across the table from each other talking about the contract. And the contract had terms and conditions and things they would do and things we would do and things we would provide. He said he'd stopped it halfway through because my lawyers had advised us kind of what we needed. And he looked at me right across the table, really, really nice. I've used this 1 million times on the other side of the fence. Joe, if we need the contract to define what we're doing as a relationship and as business, we don't have a relationship. And I'm getting goosebumps again. I've taken that to everywhere I've gone in life because you need to have a relationship with both upstream and downstream vendors, and that is the key component. If all you are is a number on their book and that's all they care about, you don't have a relationship with that vendor, whether it's upstream or downstream.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was in a brewery recently, and it's a newer brewery, and they were asking me about choosing a distributor. They were looking to expand and choosing a distributor. And so we were talking about it, and basically what I told them was, look, they all want your business. They all want to sell sell you guys out. You need to go with the one that you feel the most comfortable with, because ultimately it doesn't really matter. I mean, whether this company takes 30% of your business or that company does, you need to be comfortable with them first. And my thing was, when I started out at a brewery that I started out here in Idaho, the deal was made literally like a week or two before I started. So I was basically thrown into the deal.
Deep end of the pool.
Yeah. And so I had to make it work, and it was really tough. I mean, they're in a good spot where they're able to choose what they're going to do with it. And, moving forward, I think you're right. I mean, if you have to put it in a contract, then it's not a relationship for sure. I mean, I totally understand that.
At the end of the day, people do business with other people. And if you're sitting in a room, and I got to tell you, again, old guy, I've sat down, and the number of times I can tell you that the number of times I've gone against my gut says something ain't right. And the minute I go, well, no, it's fine. My gut, honestly, knock on wood, has never been wrong.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting across the table from someone and you're not getting a good feeling, no matter who that distributor is, I'd think about it. Again, not in a bad way, not like I'm not looking to cut anybody out here in the context of what I'm telling your listening base, but what I would say is think about it, because this dialogue that we're having, the relationship already, dude, I got your back. If you need something, I got your back. Because I can tell just by this dialogue the type of person you are and the quality of the individual that you are, and that to me says something. And you need to do that with your distributors, whether it's up channel vendors or down channel. You need to have that level of relationship that they've got your back. Dude, I get it. You can't get the product here today. You'll get it here next week. You're running behind. That's fine. And you got to work together. And I think that we've become a transactional society. The number of pitch on first contact I get on LinkedIn for the fact that I need whatever they're selling because they're the most amazing at it. Shut up.
Yeah.
You don't even know me to know what I need to have that.
Hey, you want to be a franchisee? Like, no.
Oh God, I'm getting those. That must be a January thing. I'm getting those too.
I don't want to be a franchisee. I don't want to own a Subway in Omaha, for instance.
That was actually a client of mine at one of the providers. 26,000 locations across the U.S.
Hey, that's great. Maybe make a sandwich out of real bread and we'll talk. So yeah, that's such great advice for all of our friends out there. Like, seriously, you really do need to think about more who you're dealing with when it comes to both your upstream and your downstream vendors, your suppliers and your distributors in this case. And I mean, I think that's just awesome advice. And so one of the things that we do in the alcohol industry all the way around, even booze, is we run incentive programs. So I'm sure that's something you've run into before. What sort of incentive programs do you think are the best, and which do you think sort of don't play as well?
Oof. Now you're catching me short. Because here's what I believe. This is just what I believe. And it's gonna be a roundabout answer, but I'll get to your answer. I believe, and maybe I'm unique in this regard, I believe you get what you pay for. I do woodworking as a sideline hobby. I've done it since I was 14. I buy good tools. I buy quality products. I do not buy crap from, call it Walmart, but I don't mean to be mean to Walmart. Bottom line is I buy better quality tools that are slightly better. And the reason I do that is because I believe that you get what you pay for in that context. Most of the tools I buy, they never go on sale because there's a value and there's a perceived value that goes with that. So to give an incentive for me to buy more tool, probably not going to happen that much. Maybe to buy more wood, in a way. Oh, look, we're having a sale on black walnut or something like that because we got an overstock. It typically doesn't happen, but okay, they're trying to move product that they've got and they're just looking to get rid of it. My perception of discounting or providing that type of incentive says to me straight away, it's just me, you have product that you don't want and you're trying to offload it. I already am uncomfortable with that because, especially in a beer and wine world, what's wrong with it? It's been on the shelf too long. I'm trying to push it. The truck got hot. It sat in the wrong place in the warehouse, and now it's all bubbled up. I don't know in that world what that means.
It's interesting that you go right to that.
Incentive. What I think does work, and I very, very firmly believe in this, is the nature of loyalty programs not tied to dollars and cents, but other things. I was a member of Grunt Style T-shirt company nationwide. They give a lot of money back to veterans, and I like that. And then Grunt Style had a thing that said, hey, be a T-shirt of the month club. And as a part of T-shirt of the month club, you earn points towards another T-shirt and or whatever you want to do with it. One of the things, if you want to do it, you take the value of this and you contribute it back to the veterans again. So I would just roll that money straight into whatever Grunt Style was giving. Now I have 8 gazillion t-shirts, and I finally shut that off because I have more t-shirts than you can shake a stick at. But my point is that there is a value prop that has nothing to do with them lowering their price. I paid full price for these t-shirts every month. I didn't get a discount for them. I paid whatever the rack rate was for the t-shirts. So that didn't do anything, but I got the benefit of points, being part of a club, being a part of a unique, where I would be invited to events where they would be releasing t-shirts where they were charging full price. But you became part of a community. And I think from my perspective, Joe Zahaitis, and I may be wrong, I may be unique in that regard, I think more so than price discounting, providing a unique value of community. Beer, don't even call it Beer of the Month Club. Call it the beer of the, beer of the world community, where we get together and we talk about beers. And you pay by virtue of what you're buying in terms of the beer to become a part of this community. And then we give you some perceived value outside of that.
Yeah, and that's something that you used to see more of, actually. Like, I remember at my first brewery at Epic, we did that. We did it wasn't like a beer of the month club. It was like a barrel tasting club or something like that.
There you go.
It wasn't even really a club. It was just like a group of people that came and hung out like once a month. And they would get to try some barrel-aged stuff or whatever. Sockeye, a brewery that we have here in Idaho, they do one called Chronicles that's really neat. It's a sort of a barrel-aged. Every quarter, I think you get like a bottle or two. But I sort of like that idea of bringing people back into the brewery for like that. I like that discussion idea. I like the idea of people getting together. We used to do like movie nights. We used to do like now comedy is kind of the new thing. Like a lot of people are doing stand-up shows and open mics and stuff like that. I think like anything where you can bring people back into the brewery and start talking about your product and engaging with it more, I think that's probably a better idea than, what you're talking about. Like when you get when you look up your, when you go to Albertsons or Kroger or wherever, and you look up your, coupons and it's like, oh, Barefoot Wine is, $5 off. Like I totally understand that too. You're like, well, why is it so cheap? but usually it's just because it's just a roundabout. It comes around every year. It's usually not.
And it's just something that get truck. Product's brand new good. It's just, this is the time when we put it on sale just to move more of it. I get it.
Now,
they're trying to make a quarterly number.
At Binny's or one of the other retail establishments. Now, if they have a big pile of beer and it's discounted heavily, that I would look at. It's almost like, at the end of the butcher block where you see all the meat that's the manager's special meat. Like I would look at it like that. It's not necessarily bad, but you
drink
gotta
it
look
today
at
because tomorrow it's going to be bad.
Maybe on the way home. Yeah.
Well, to that end, and you just played directly into it, the nature of this is my belief. And if you've noticed in the entire context of this podcast, I've never talked about what I do for a living in terms of the president of the company I'm part of. Not that I couldn't work with the clients that you have. That's not what it's about. The minute you talk about your product, now all of a sudden it's a sales pitch. So if you can get someone back into the brewery without talking about the product, we're getting together for a barrel tasting. Why? Because we want to. We're getting together crazy t-shirt night or whatever. Everybody's wearing Grunt Style. We're gonna talk about, we're gonna show a clip from a movie, and every time the word is said, okay, I'm not condoning this, but every time a word is said, everybody takes a shot or something like that, just for fun. That has nothing to do with the nature of the brewery or the product that you're selling. You're getting them there under some other pretense, legitimate and valued, but you're not pitching them. Hey, come on in and we'll give you a discount on the beer. Okay, all of a sudden it became a sales pitch.
Yeah, now it's like there's a lot of trivia stuff and stuff like that too. So like the breweries are doing that a little bit. Wineries maybe a little bit less, because the wineries always sort of count on people just knowing like what they offer instead of like actually offering it to people or telling people about it. So it's a little bit different there. And then distilleries just Can
I branch just because I do this all the time in life?
Yeah, absolutely.
How inappropriate is your listening audience? Can I make a comment or two? We were part of a trivia group. Mm-hmm. One of the team's names was not our team. I'll get to our team name in a second. One of the team's names on this trivia team was "My couch may pull out, but I don't."
Classic.
Our team name for this trivia was "Duct tape turns no into mm."
Boy, Joe. It's pretty spicy.
It was fun. We had a good time with it. Everyone like, really? That's going to be your name? Really? I'm like, yeah,
these
that's
are the Midwestern niceties that you look for when you talk to someone from the Midwest.
To play back into your trivia night, that was a bar we went to for trivia night where they had a guy in. Obviously, they paid him. Of course we got snacks. Of course we bought drinks.
Yeah.
Of course we stayed before and after. But it had nothing to do with the product set or the nature of it. We were going there for trivia night. That was the whole point, and it totally works.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. I love those names too. Those are awesome. So another thing that you do, that your website says you do anyway, I don't know. I think you do it, is you're an expert on building sales teams and sort of. I mean, that's what it says on the website. I don't know what else to go.
I've built a few.
So let me just explain. I'm going to give you the quick, 1 minute rundown of what a brewery and winery sales team looks like. Basically, you have the sales manager who could also be the salesperson. And that salesperson is responsible for going out every day and finding places to put kegs at. And then when they're not doing that, they're supposed to be finding places to put cans and bottles at, or they have separate people. It's called on-premise and off-premise. So you'll have an on-premise guy. That's the guy that goes and sells the beer to the bars. Then you'll have an off-premise person, and she's in charge of making sure you have bottles and cans at Costco and Walmart and Binny's and everywhere else. So that model, that sales team model, to me, when I was doing it, when I was a manager and when I was doing all that stuff, was really biased towards the distributors, for one, because the distributors had guys that they paid that did that all over town, and breweries could only pay one person. So it was really biased towards the distributors, but it was also biased towards the bigger breweries that could offer more stuff to the places. Like, for instance, there's a place here in Boise where they legit told me it would cost $1,000 for me to put on a keg of beer there because they'd have to change the chalkboard. And I was like, all right, cool. There was another place that wanted to charge me $5,000 to put a keg of beer on, to change it, to make a banner so they could put a banner up. And I was like, all right, first of all, I mean, I don't know if you know how much beer costs, but a keg of beer does not make a brewery $1,000 or $5,000. It would take about, let's say 100 kegs of beer to get to those numbers, to get to either one of those numbers. So I always look at that as just this sucks. This pay to play thing sucks. It doesn't work. And then I would always look for ways to sort of get around that, to do something different, to find different markets. I was always kind of looking forward and looking sideways and looking at other ways to get to where we needed to be bottom line money wise, how we could make our money. So now that you've kind of know a little bit about how these breweries and wineries build their sales teams, what are some ways, some maybe first things you would look at improving these kind of ways that they do this? And how would you kind of attack this sort of limited resource sales team building that we need to do at the brewery and winery level?
These are my recommendations. Again, and I don't know it well, but it's stuff that I've done in other worlds before. Mm-hmm. The first thing you have to look at from a sales team perspective is it build and keep, or is it build and throw over the transom? And by that, I mean, I have managed where you have a hunter team that their exclusive job is to go out and find new business and bring it in and get it signed. They then, what we call, throw it over the transom to the account management team, who then manages those. That has pluses and minuses. You have a hunter team that's job and how they're compensated is based on just getting new. That's why they're called the hunter team. Their job is to find new and bring it in. That's it. And then they turn it over to the account management team, who then is responsible for growing it, like farmers. So you have hunters and you have farmers. If you have a model that says, I am both the hunter, but then I have to manage the account, there is a limit to the function in terms of how much a person can do. You get a great hunter that brings in a whole bunch of business and he has to manage it now. He is going to run out of time, because at the end of the day, it would be my belief, I've run a number of farmer teams as well, high end, Subway being one of those. I had one person that was her exclusive account, but we had a lot of large accounts. So the nature of that is there's only so much bandwidth that an individual has based on the demands of the company and the revenue that it brings in. So if you have a hunter that's also going to be a farmer at the end of the day, you have to look at the fact that you're going to have to incrementally add another hunter to that. If you have, so that's first model. I don't say model, but the first consideration. Second thing is you got a great hunter that's really good at hunting and sucks at account management. You don't want that guy holding those. And I'm using guys because girls are obviously good at everything, but you don't want that guy holding on to that, because they're not good at follow-up. Account management is all about maintaining that relationship. We talked about this earlier in the context of the part. Mm-hmm. Right. Yep. You're reaching back out. You're talking, everything okay? You need something new? Anything we can help with? Something. And I would contend that in the nature of a small brewery, and I'm going to flip this on its head in about 2 seconds, but in the context of a small brewery, having those relationships locally is going to help longer term than any number of hunters you have finding a new play. Find a new play, we buy 20 kegs, you never hear from us again. We ran it as a special. We tried it. We never got behind it because management did, whatever the reason is. Not that the beer was bad or not that the product wasn't good, but the nature of they just never bought into it. So you got a great hunter that's able to make a sale, but nothing really came of it. So now where I'm about to flip this on its head is I would say as a small brewery, go to your consumer. Steve, where else do you go? What other bar do you go to? Oh, I don't just go to this bar. I go to this bar, this bar, this bar. Do they carry our beer? Well, no, they don't. Why not? And then I would go to that bar and say, Steve and a whole bunch of my friends come to your bar as well. And I happen to know, because I know Steve, he likes our beer. Is there a reason, and again, you're not being, confrontational with it, but you're having a dialogue with the owner of this bar. Is there a particular, we can certainly get it for you. We're local, we're here. We'd love to talk to you about it. I would, oops, sorry, my camera just did that again. Okay. I would flip that on its head because going to the bar and trying to sell them on why they want your product versus going to the bar and saying, I got a consumer base that's going to another bar where they have my product and they like it. I'd love to have it here too, because it's closer to his house. It'll bring in other people. We know now you're using and it's more of a pull technique. So instead of a push technique, you're using a pull technique. And that's why I flipped this on its head. I think as a brewery, where I would start is, what is my market segment look like? How big? How far can I distribute? I can't get past Cheyenne. Just can't get it delivered further for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. So now we've defined our world. My old sales manager used to tell me, hub and spoke. Every once in a while, you got to come back to the hub and then you start venturing back out again. And he would tell me, I would go out, I would be out in the hinterland doing stuff in the air freight forwarding world. And I'm starting to run up against, I said, Joe, pull it back. Start with the guys who you know really, really well and who you know want our business and have used our business in the past, and then we'll start working your back out again.
Well, that's a really big point, actually, Joe. You ran into something there, and I don't know if you meant to or not, but that is something that breweries do not do well. They get caught up in their expansion, they get caught up in their projections, and they get caught up in what they promise to their minimal shareholders or whatever they have, and they don't come back to the hub. They try to actually expand the spoke instead of coming back to the hub. And one problem that we have with breweries here in Boise, especially, is Boise is on an island. Like I know for a fact that it takes about to get from Chicago to Kansas City is what, like maybe 3 or 4 hours?
Oh God, no! It's like no. I won't say
6?
I've driven it, but my daughter drove it recently by way of St. Louis. It was an 8-hour drive.
Okay, what is it to St. Louis? Chicago to
5.
St. Louis.
Chicago to St. Louis
5
is
hours.
5. I've
Chicago
done
to Detroit.
5.
5. Chicago to Milwaukee.
Hour and a half. You could actually go out to Green Bay. That's about 3.5.
So here in Boise, it's minimal 5 hours to get to the next population center.
Oh no, kidding!
It's 5 hours to Salt Lake. And that's just to like the next like kind of bigger one.
Bigger, I get it.
Spokane is like 8 hours.
Metropolitan center versus a village.
Exactly.
I get it.
Metropolitan. Seattle's 10 hours. Portland's 8 hours. So like we have a little hub, and the spokes have to be really long. They have to go really far out. So that's, I think, a big problem that our friends here have had is they've tried to expand that spoke out and it just hasn't worked because there's no word of mouth that goes farther than 3 hours, right?
Right.
So you're just not getting that. But I do want to go back to this idea of having like a hunting team and then having like an account management team. I think like if someone calls me tomorrow and says, "Hey Steve, we'd love for you to come in and run my brewery and be the sales director and just run everything." I think the first thing that I would do is I would disassemble the on-premise, off-premise team, and I would make them hunter team versus account manager team. Like, why should on and off-premise be all that different? It's really kind of the same thing. It's just different numbers. It's not really different. The product's the same. The way that you handle the accounts is almost the same. It's a little bit different, a little bit more long-term. But like, I really like that idea of going to a hunter and then like an account manager way of doing things, as opposed to that kind of on and off premise and having this giant divide for like no reason at all.
If you look at the nature of the account management teams that I have managed in life, most of them I assumed. I didn't build them from scratch. But then as you're there, you're transitioning people, those that are weaker or those you need better or whatever. But the nature of this account management team at a very, very high level was customer support, but also happiness, the relationship. Yep. So my job as a senior vice president was, and I used to always joke about it, was the weight in the room. If one of my team members needed to have me on a call or go on them on a trip, I was the weight in the room. I was the weight to give that customer the comfort that, holy crap, Dad's here and he's got our back.
Every so often you need the big gun.
Right.
You gotta bring the big gun in.
I'll never forget it. I'm in New York in the middle of a meeting with a very, very large company that you would know, but I don't manage them anymore. It was Neiman Marcus. And we were having a meeting, and I was a junior guy in the room. And our senior vice president, again, way the hell above me back, and he was actually an EVP. He was 3 levels above me. He was in the room. I won't mention his name because I think he's dead now. But I said, okay, why are you here? And he literally looked me in the eye. He said, Joe, my job here is to be the weight in the room. If I don't have to say a word, that's better. I'm like, oh shit, I better take care of everything. So the point is that you're giving the point of this account management team is their job is to be circling back with the client to make sure, are we meeting your needs? Was there anything else? Was there another product type that your clients are asking for? Something else we're going to blah, 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 blah. All of that is in client management.
And they're also like the ones that have the client come to the pub every so often. They give them tours. They put together the baskets. They do the Christmas gifts.
Well, and if you're a brewery, it would be my belief, if you're a brewery and you've got distribution to both bars and or whatever, it would be my contention, okay, I build websites as well, but not for other people, just for me. You saw my website. It's pretty good. It's not good. But my point is, it would be, as a brewery, I would think you should have, as a brewery, the page of every bar that you have distribution in. Why? It gives them a hook from an SEO perspective and to be able to doing a link back, blah, blah, blah. It gives them better and you send your entire client base, look, you want our product set? Here's the bars in the area you can go to. Holy crap, that's awesome.
A lot of places do that. It's difficult to do that, but you can do that for sure. And I just think it's it's just such a great way of reorganizing and relooking at how, because right now, and this is a message to all my brewery and winery friends right now that are, having a tough time, and they all are, is you got to stop trying the things that you're still doing. And this is probably going to be my rant at the beginning of this episode. You got to stop the stuff that you're doing that used to work 10 years ago no longer works anymore. And now, and one of the reasons why I had Joe on was so that we could come up with some things like this, because he doesn't give 2 shits about the beer business. He doesn't even drink beer.
I care a lot about the beer business. I'm going to tell you something my old sales manager a million years ago used to tell me. Because it was, I won't say it was a major changing point, but it was kind of cute. He goes, Joe, the minute you stop hitting your head against the wall, it will stop hurting.
Yeah, that's so good.
And that's to your point. You just said it. Doing Einstein's definition of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting different results. Yeah. You have to kind of turn it on its head and tweak it around. And my hope is, to your point, not that I don't care about the beer business, but coming from an outside perspective, I hope, I'm a business guy. I've been a business guy for more years than I care to think about. But yeah, I would love to help in any way I could. I mean, I have no problem leadership, sales.
No, that's exactly what we're talking about right now. And and I think you have helped today. I think that this is an awesome hour. I would,
thank you, sir.
I would make sure that everybody I know that owns a brewery, and that's everybody in Idaho, because I know all of them, and many of the wineries who I also know, I will probably be sending this to them directly, which I normally don't do, because I feel like this is some really important stuff. And one of the things a lot of people ask me about, because my brewery, the one I worked at here in Idaho, just went out of business like a year and a half ago. And they went out of business. I had them in the black when I left. And a lot of people are like, man, that sucks about Edge. I'm like, well, you know what? They probably kept trying to do the same thing. When I was there, we did different stuff. We didn't do the same thing. After about a year of going out to bars and trying to get taps from other breweries, I was like, this is stupid. We have to find some other way to do it. So we sold beer to Japan. We sold beer awesome. To trucks, to other outlets. We sold beer that in different labels to other places that wanted their own labels. We did a bunch of different stuff. We had people come in and go to to the restaurant. We did a lot of different stuff that people weren't doing. And that's kind of why exactly why I wanted to have you on today, Joe, was so that we could talk about that. Let's talk about some fun stuff. I want to talk about bourbon because you love bourbon. And I love bourbon. Have you ever had an Idaho made bourbon? There's a Booker's bottle.
No, but I have my bottle of Booker's that my team bought me.
That's nice.
I had to put that on. No, they did not pay me a promotional on this. This is just all me. It's the small
Jim
batch.
Beam's not doing anything right now.
It's the uncut, unfiltered small batch. Oh, that's sipping stuff. And that is open, by the way. I just love that presentation bottle.
So that's when you like, what's kind of what do you go to? Like if you're out at a restaurant, what's your go-to? What do you like?
My go-to,
Malort? You just drink Malort, right?
I will tell you. Yeah, no, Malort. I had the first time I ever had Malort, a guy did it to me as a joke. He goes, "Here, Joe, try this." Jesus Christ, that's it. Worth tasting crap. I will say this. All right, well, let's talk about alcohols. Not a big beer drinker. Be the first one to admit it. Not a big beer drinker. Do like Dragon's Milk. Do like Guinness.
All right.
I do like wine for the most part. But that's my girlfriend.
I heard about
that's
that Napa trip.
My go-to whenever we go out is typically, and this is where you get to see the hardcore drinker, my go-to is typical Angel's Envy or Angel's Envy Rye with a single small ice cube. I don't even want a big ice cube in it. I want a single small ice cube because I just want it to open it up. I don't even want it cold. Serve it to me in a rocks glass. That's it. And they're like, "You sure you want only one ice cube?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to taste it. I don't want it to get watered down."
Yep.
So that's my go-to. Now, if you want to go up and down the chain, you've got, Booker's, which I really like. We have a distillery here in Illinois that sells a one called Koval. It's okay. I wouldn't call it some of the best. I personally, a lot of people don't like it. The Jefferson Ocean, that's been in the barrels on the boat. I'm like, okay, that's a cool idea. Is it a shtick? Of course it's a shtick. Is it really in a boat? Who cares? As long as they're rocking that barrel to kind of really, really toss it up, that's good. And then I'll tell you the one that everyone will yell at me for, and I'm totally fine with it. If I'm out, it's so funny. We have a restaurant that is in my girlfriend's town. When we walk in, the first thing I order, Jack Daniels on the rocks. Because this bar has no clue how to make a drink. I'm an old-fashioned Manhattan kind of a guy. Done perfect. I love them. Don't muddle the cherry. You screwed it up already. I don't care if it's in Wisconsin and they do that. Do not do. So they are so horrible at making drinks. I literally walk in Jack on the rocks. Just give me Jack on the rocks.
Okay, so that's something I wanted to talk about too. So one thing I love about Midwesterners and one thing I love about going to the Midwest is how many little local traditions everybody has. And in Chicago, it could be neighborhood by neighborhood for stuff like we talked about. Malort is kind of the famous thing there. It's like an herbal, like almost like kind of like a more high proof. What is that
tar?
Stuff?
It's like drinking high proof tar. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's gross. So what are some local, so you talked about, in Wisconsin, I noticed that they muddle the cherry into the old fashioned, which I also think is disgusting.
Muddle the cherry in the old fashioned, and they put a splash of club soda on the top of it.
Oh, God.
Or
come on, Wisconsin.
If you want it sweeter. And when it comes in this glass and it's already got bubbles going on, I'm like, seriously, I guess I didn't ask the right way because it's got soda.
What I ordered. It's like when they give you sweet tea instead of iced tea. So what are some things that you like around Chicago? So what are some Chicago only kind of drinking, I don't know, traditions that you have there? What are some things that you like?
There are no, this would be my belief about Chicago. Chicago's a big enough market where there's no real Chicago drink. I mean, if you're going to talk about a true Chicago, from my perspective, I think that Chicagoans, for the most part, at least the ones I know, because it's probably my friend group, big bourbon whiskey drinkers. Not that a lot of them don't drink beer as well, but if they're going out, they're drinking bourbon, they're drinking whiskey. Girlfriend and I love a couple high-end restaurants that I'm not going to give any props to, as much as I love them, but they didn't pay me, so I'm not going to leave it to them. But you go to downtown Chicago,
Pizzeria Due, you're on your own.
No, see, I don't like it. See, I'm a Chicago guy. We can talk about pizza next.
Yeah,
you go downtown, you're paying $25 a drink for a drink in Chicago.
Ooh.
Easy. $25. But here's
Chicago,
what I like.
You used to be the cheap alternative to big cities. What happened?
But here's where you have a problem with that. You go to a bar anywhere, order a drink. The minute it has any amount of mix in it, Manhattan, suddenly, I'm sorry, I don't even taste the alcohol in there because it's so cut, you can't get it. You buy a $25 drink, okay, I'll say it. You go to Gibson's, which is a high-end steak joint downtown Chicago. You go to Gibson's and order a martini, or you go to Gibson's and order an old fashioned or a Manhattan straight up. That thing, one drink will put you on your ass. Why? Because it actually has alcohol in it.
It's on fire.
Right. And that, to me, that is what defines a bar. There's another place here in the suburbs. It's kind of like Gibson's, but in the burbs. I go there for a drink, and if I order, and the bartenders already know me now. There, it's like, look, I want a old fashioned, perfect. They know, they got it, they get it, and I'll get it with everything from Knob Creek. I hate Maker's Mark, no disrespect to Maker's Mark, but it's like drinking water. Well, it's like drinking water. It's got to have a bite to it. If it doesn't have a bite to it for me, that's why I like Jack Daniels to this day. Jack Daniels, you drink it, you know you're drinking Jack Daniels.
Yeah, smells like my grandfather. Gross.
All right, next time we get together, I'm going to wear English leather or polo aftershave, and we're going to go have Jack Daniels. What do you think about that?
Perfect. I would love that. I will not have Jack Daniels, but I would love all the rest of that. That'd be amazing. So here we have a tradition with some bartenders that are like, I don't know, they're younger bartenders that they don't measure. They just pour shit in a glass and then stir it and then hand it to you. And so there's two problems with that. One, you get the drink like you're talking about that tastes like it's watered down and it doesn't have any alcohol. The other one is it tastes like it's on fire, like it's literally lighting your whole mouth on. Like when I order a gin and tonic, I want a gin and tonic. I don't want a gin with some ice in it. I like the tonic in there. I like not to be hammered right after I'm done with one drink. Now, if I order a gin martini, yes, that is what I'm looking for. Right. I want that bite. And Gibson's, I have been to Gibson's before, and their drinks are exceptional. Oh yeah, exceptional.
Okay, my last alcohol, and then I'll shut up, and we can talk about other stuff. My dad got me hooked on it when I was 16. I'll never forget this, and I drink it on a regular basis in homage. I have 2 bottles of it, even though you, in theory, can't buy it on the street anymore because the monks have stopped producing it. I am a huge fan of green chartreuse.
Yeah.
110 proof, knocks you on your ass, smells like flowers, tastes like cough syrup. That's what all my friends tell me. That as an after-dinner drink in a brandy snifter so you can get it warm and get that nose on it. To me, green chartreuse is one of the best after-dinner drinks on the planet. And it's a memory of my dad. So, I mean, it's got a double play to it, but I love it. I absolutely love it.
That's awesome that you have 2 bottles of it. Yeah. They're, so that is still it's not being produced by the original monks anymore. They've stopped, but some other monks have picked up the slack or something. I've heard there's some stuff. We have a guy that comes on the show. His name's Ben, and he talked about that. And there's a cocktail bar here, and I'll give them a shout out because I like them. It's called Mode. And they have what I believe to be the only bottle of green chartreuse in the city, and it's an automatic $20 charge if you want anything like that has it in it. And yeah, it is. I think it does kind of taste like cough syrup, but it does. I think it does add like a nice herbal kind of. It
adds a floral essence to a drink. If you put it into a Negroni or a martini, you get a floral essence to the martini. It makes it a completely different drink because it's also a cordial, so it's sweet. But if you add it to a gin or even a vodka martini, you get a completely different flavor profile because of the nature of that floral note. What I heard from Binny's, giving them another shout out, but it's just Chicago. Binny's went to him and I asked him because I was looking for a couple bottles. This was back when it happened. And he says, yeah, we don't carry it. The only place you can get it now is at restaurants and bar. That's the only distribution we're allowed to even give it to. You can't buy it. So I asked my guy at corporate, I said, and he's a big bourbon drinker, Elijah Craig. He does all the old fits, all the stuff. He loves bourbons. He said, whoa, go to my guy. And I'm not going to mention it because I don't know how legit it is. But I went to this website and I ordered 2 bottles now. With the VAT tax, that means it's coming from overseas. With the VAT tax I paid, it was like $110 a bottle. It wasn't cheap. But I got 2 bottles of it. I'm like, dude, I'm set for a while. I'm not sipping thing. I'm not touching it for a while. There you go.
Especially if they don't make it anymore. Yeah. So that's great. So you mentioned pizza. Pizza is a big thing over there. There's obviously the deep dish thing. Now for me, when I went to a couple places downtown that had deep dish. My mom long ago got the Pizzeria Due dough recipe and used that all growing up, which is sort of a medium, not a deep dish, but it's like sort of like medium deep. It's deeper than here. It's not pan, but so what are some places there? Like I know Lee Maldondo's or something like that. Yeah, Lee Malnati's. How do you feel about deep dish? Is that something you're into, or are you sort of like against that thing? Because a lot of people don't like it because
you have to start your pizza. Eating a casserole. You have to start your pizza journey in New York, and I love doing this because I love ripping on all my New York friends. If you can pick up a piece of pizza and fold it in half, and hold it in your hand, and put it in your mouth, you're eating cardboard. Now it's coming through on your speakers.
Sorry, my speakers, my headphones just died.
Oh, that's so funny.
But yeah, so if you can fold it in half like cardboard,
Right. If
then
it's
it's cardboard.
cardboard.
If you can fold it in half, then
Right.
it's cardboard.
I am
love
a
that.
thin crust guy, but you're gonna have to
Mhm.
mute yourself, otherwise your fans are gonna be listening to me talk twice. It's all good.
It's okay.
That's right.
I think it'll take care of it inside the thing.
Okay. Oh, you might have to turn on that you're not. You have to tell it that you're not using headphones anymore. That's why I use headphones, by the way. If in local Chicago, we all have our favorite places, and there's a local place I have here that it's thin crust. There's an appropriate amount of sauce. There's more cheese than God on it, and it's sausage. I am not a pepperoni fan. My sister is a pepperoni fan. To me, the minute you put pepperoni on a pizza, it's like putting anchovies on a pizza. I like anchovy pizza, but if you're eating an anchovy pizza, plan on the entire thing from start to finish tasting like fish. Same thing with pepperoni. You taste nothing else in the pizza but that pepperoni oil, which is why I'm not a big pepperoni fan. That's the first thing. Deep dish, meh. Stuffed, I like. And it's not Lou Malnati's. There's one place I like downtown that's kind of fun going to. It's impossible to get into. If you come as a tourist to do this, don't even try because it's a nightmare. And they're always, it's called Chicago Pizza and Oven Grinders. And what they do is they take a bowl and they put all of the stuff, the cheese, the sauce, and everything in the bowl, and they put the dough over the top of the bowl. Then they bake the whole thing in the oven. So now the dough gets really, really crusty because it hasn't been touching the sauce. They bring it to the table. They take the whole thing, flip it upside down, pull the bowl out. Now you've got the pizza in the bowl. So all the stuff is cooked on the inside. All of the cheese is melted, and it melts over this pizza crust. It's actually pretty good.
That sounds amazing. That actually sounds like something I would really be
deep
into.
dish pizza for me is like a thicker crust.
Yeah, I like that.
Too much bread for me. That's all.
The deep dish thing also, like, I mean, it's good. It's good, but it's a lasagna. It's not like it's not pizza. I agree with you. The cardboard thing is hilarious and a great point, but at least you can pick that up.
It's the best pizza in the world. Come on. I mean, there's more than one kind of pizza. Oh no, there's only New York pizza. Yeah. Baloney.
Well, Connecticut people all claim that Connecticut pizza is the best.
Of course they do.
So I don't know. I like a pan. I like that, like they said, that kind of medium thickness. But if you can't do medium thickness well, then I like it as flat as it can be. I want it to almost be on a cracker.
Well, and it should, again, this is the other thing that everyone always jokes about. Oh my God, you cut it into square pieces. Yeah, because you got to need a fork and a knife to eat it. Again, if you can pick it up and eat it, it doesn't have enough stuff on it, in my mind.
I love it. All right, I think we're going to wrap up there. That's as good a place as any to wrap up. Have you ever been to Idaho, Joe?
No, but I'm coming now because I'm going to come out to Boise and I'm going to come visit you. No, honestly, I travel for a living. It's what I do as part of the company, as part of myself. And I've been to a lot of places in life. I've been to Cheyenne a number of times. Okay. Don't ask.
Well, it's kind of hurtful.
I've been all over the place. I've never been to Boise. I've been to Salt Lake once.
That's enough times.
With one of my sales guys, we were meeting a couple. Nice enough town.
Yeah.
It's like
one time
to
Salt Lake is the right amount of times.
Yeah, it was okay. It was all right.
Well, if you want to go to somewhere that's like Salt Lake but has more fun, Boise is where you want to be. Right. We have a lot of fun here, and if you come up, please give me a shout out. We'll go out, hit some. I'll take you actually to a couple of distilleries. We have a couple of really good distilleries here that we can hit up.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to play into it, market into it to your listener base, and we're going to make sure that when I do come there, and I promise I will try to at some point in 2026. It may not be next month, but it'll be at some point. You can play into it, and then they can all meet me face to face and punch me in the face for not liking New York pizza. And I'm okay with that.
That's right. Hey, they can punch me in the face too. Why not? You get a 2-for-1. It's going to be $15 to get in, though. You're going to have to pay for that, right? To punch us in the face. Oh, there you go.
Now we're going to make it a limited VIP event kind of thing. There you go. Let's have fun.
We're going to incentivize it, and you're going to get 2-for-1. But I will cry, just so everyone knows. I will cry, like straight up, if you punch me in the face.
Yeah, no,
I will cry.
We're not doing that. All right, well, I appreciate you having me on. I hope this helps people. Again, if you want to get together with specific questions that people come back to you and have another dialogue, I will mention, as you know, we talked about this before the show, I'm also starting a podcast. It'll be focused more on the payment side of life, less on the beer side of life. But I would be more than happy to come on again. This has been awesome. This has been a lot of fun. It's been a great discussion, which I've enjoyed.
I really appreciate you coming on. Thanks a lot. Joe Zahaitis, Zahaitis.com. Joe is he's a business builder.
I've been around.
He builds sales teams. Go ahead.
I said I'm old. I've been around. I'm old.
He's not that old. I'm looking at him right now. He looks like he's got like a big gamer chair. He seems very young, at least young at heart and young in the.
I run 3 different gaming clans and have about half a dozen Discords. So yeah, I guess I am that 12-year-old
podcast. We'll get to that next time you're on. Thanks a lot, Joe. Really appreciate you being on.
Thanks for
having me. We're going to be right back. We're going to do let's do Boise Beer Buddies community calendar right after this. Thanks a lot, Joe.
Appreciate it.
This show brought to you by Night Plumbing. Night Plumbing has been a trusted part of the Treasure Valley for over 20 years. Get the royal treatment with Night on everything from leaky faucets, sewer backups, water heater installs, even 24/7 emergency service. Go to nightplumbing.net or call 208-949-9680 and get the royal treatment on your next plumbing issue from the Treasure Valley's own Night Plumbing. And veterans, you get 15% off at Night Plumbing and nightplumbing.net. Welcome back to the Idaho Booze Podcast. I'm Steve Kuntz. Wasn't he fun, Joe? Great dude. Awesome interview. Good information there. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We have Boise Beer Buddies community calendar here, sponsored by Boise Beer Buddies. Hey, Stacy, get at your boy. I need to update my card. I am overdue for that. So let's get it done. We have a new buddy hub, Noble Mead. Oh man, I want to go try these guys. This sounds awesome. Noble Mead. I love mead. I am a northerner. This is on Chinden Boulevard, 9165. It's probably in that strip mall down there where Brownbeard is. Beer Buddies receive 10% off your first pour on each visit and 10% off of bottles. The Nobles Gather announcement coming soon. A new mead hall. So maybe they also bring in mead and I don't know if did they make it. Well, we missed it. It was on Saturday. They had their grand opening where you could dress up. But you know what? I'm sure if you go this week at all, you can dress up. Why not? Dress up as a wench or some type of nobleman or noblewoman. Turn it around. Maybe be a dude wench. I don't know. Have fun with it. So Treefort's over. I didn't do anything with Treefort this year because I didn't want to. I think it kind of snuck up on me. So sorry. Last year we did a whole thing with Treefort and it was a lot of fun. This year, nothing. So let's see what's going on. Well, today we have Monday, March 30th. That's today. It's almost April. 6 to 8 p.m. Tacos and wine night. See, wine. Talaya. This is Talaya wine will be pouring at Push and Pour. Okay, go check that out. 6 to 8 March book club meetup at Parcero Wine Bar. More wine stuff. And Cakes for Cause is back at Payette Brewing from 6 to 10 p.m. So get to Payette and buy some beer and help some causes with a K. I'm not sure what the cause is this year, but I'm sure it's great. Those guys are awesome. Also, happy birthday, Mike Francis. Happy birthday, buddy. I wonder if he's 40 yet. He's probably 40, right? Almost there. Tuesday, March 31st, 5 to 7 p.m. A complimentary wine tasting at Jack's Place. Oh, I might actually be there. It's in Nampa, and they're going to be doing, I forget what the wines are that they're doing there, but they're kind of fun. Let's see. Let's click on it. Let's click on it and find out. Come on. Yeah, it doesn't say. 4 hand-selected varietals, 2 whites and 2 reds, poured right at your table with limited quantity available to take home at a special tasting day prices. There's a lot going on in there, Jack. We need to tighten up our grammar. So yeah, complimentary wine tasting at Jack's Place in Nampa. Check that out. Wednesday, April 1st. Don't be a fool. Go to the free tasting with Long Drink at Brewers Haven. April Fool's Day, so watch out. Brewers Haven loves a good April Fool. Also, 6 p.m. to finish. Not sure what that means. Inaugural Binho tournament with Burt's Brewing at Matlack's. I don't know what Binho is. It looks like it's some type of table game. Cool. So that's at Matlack's from 6 p.m. till finish. which I'm, again, just not sure what that means. Lots going on in Boise Beer Buddy news as well. You can check that all out. Go to boisebeerbuddies.com. Become a buddy. Get your Boise Beer Buddies card today. It is not that expensive. I think it's only $25, something like that. And you get discounts all over town, all over the state, all over the area. It's really great. Be a buddy. Get your Boise Beer Buddies card today. That's going to do it for the show. I'd like to thank Joe Zahaitis for coming on the show. Awesome dude. Has a lot of great stories and great things to say and great advice for people out there. If you want to get a hold of him, the website is in the show notes. You can go check that out. Also, I want to thank my sponsors. Let's see. We got Trucks and Auto. Thank you so much. We have Boise Beer Buddies. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for joining me today. This has been the Idaho Booze Podcast. Good day and good drinking, everyone.